Hi there, greetings everybody. I want to welcome you all here to the Prog Monster. My name is Murph and I am the host of this show. So we're here to do an episode of favorites. I've picked a topic that it's kind of one of those topics. It's maybe a little elusive, if you know what I'm saying. So I picked out 5 bands that kind of have not done as well with me over the length of this channel as I thought they would. I've kind of grown away from them, I guess is a good way to put it. So we're going to go with that. 5 bands that I've grown away from. And I may put a different title to the video once I upload it, but that's what I'm going to go with. So these are bands that at points in my past, some long ago, some more recent, I've liked these bands a lot. But over the last bit of time, like I'm going to say last 2 or 3 years, I really haven't paid much attention to them. Here and there when I was doing videos, but musically listening to, I don't pay as much attention to them as I once did. And all of these bands I like. They're all, if I'm being honest, every single one of these bands is a top, well, maybe the last one. So I'll start with that one probably too. So all of the bands are top 50 or in some cases mostly top 30 bands for me, except for this last one, which at one point was a top 100 band too, but really has faded quite a bit. So we're going to talk about these and I'm just going to give them to you. They're not in a particular order, but I'm going to start with the one that probably doesn't really belong here, but I put it here anyways. I'm going to talk about U2 a bit. I don't talk about U2 much. There was a period of time, probably in the 90s. Yeah, probably around somewhere between 90 and say 95, where I was listening to these guys a lot. I liked them. And I think a lot of that was because some of the guys on my hockey team were big fans of them. And so I wanted to fit in, I guess. So I listened to them a lot. And I did like a lot of their music quite a bit. Even as long ago as when my daughter was 4 or 5, I was still listening to them. So it was a good 15, 16 years. And then gradually I started to kind of drift away just naturally because I was kind of bored with the music a bit. But then they started going on about how great they were. And I kind of drove a big wedge between me and them. And so I just stopped listening to them. And yet I've got like maybe 6 or 7 of their albums, but I cannot, this is the first time I pulled one off the shelf in probably maybe a year. I never listened to them anymore. And I have no real interest in going back and listening to them anymore. So maybe they're a little bit of an outlier here because they're a little bit more on the dislike side than the other bands who I don't dislike any of them. I just don't listen to them anymore. So this is the first one. Next one up is this band, Cheap Trick. So I was a big Cheap Trick fan when I was younger, in my teens and in my 20s. I listened to them a lot. I still have some of their albums. I still like a couple of their albums quite a bit, but I don't go back to them much anymore. And since I started this channel, some bands have really taken off that are re-recovered, or I've reinvented myself with them. But these are not one of them. So I've got a few more albums from them than I've had in the past, trying to reinvigorate myself with them, but it just hasn't happened. And I don't know if it's because maybe my taste in this particular band has changed and I don't really find them as appealing as I once did, or I just maybe have changed. My whole taste in music has changed to the point where I just don't listen to them anymore. I'm not really sure what that's about or why it involves these guys. They do have some really good albums, including the one I'm holding here. But I almost never pull them off the shelf, very rarely now. So that's my second band. Next one out is this band, who at one time, this was a top 5 band for me in my early 20s, probably late teens, like 17, 18, 19, around there, and maybe as far along as 2024. And I still occasionally pull stuff off of them, and I use them a lot when I'm doing videos, and they've got about 6 albums that I really like. Fair warning, I love that album. I do pull on occasion to play it, but there's just not the enthusiasm to listen to them that there once was. And it's not that they're bad, because I don't think they are. I think this is one of the rock's legendary bands. It's just that for whatever reason, maybe I'm just bored with the albums that I've been listening to. That's it, probably a good chunk of it. But also I'm just tired of their music. I just don't care to hear it much anymore. And it's nothing to say about the band. I still think this band is great. I just never pull them anymore. Van Halen. Next is this band, Whitesnake. So for me, Whitesnake had a very small window early on when I was still living at home with my mom. So for about 3 years there, I went through a bit of a Whitesnake and I would listen to them a lot. And then once I got out on my own, I did buy the 87 album and I got into that. And then they just kind of faded away. There was no conscious decision not to listen to them anymore, or not any conscious decision not to like them anymore, or any of that. And I still like them, but I never go to them hardly at all anymore. I have bought a few of their albums since since I started this channel, this one being one of them. There's a couple others on the shelf that I've bought, and I've listened to them just because they're new, but they just never come off the shelf again. Very rarely. I'm not enthusiastic when I'm listening to the music anymore either. And that's too bad, because they're a good band. But for whatever reason, I'm just in that area where I just don't want to listen to them anymore. So that's my 4th band. The last one probably won't surprise people, but probably should surprise people when you knew how much I liked them early on. So when I was younger, they were one of the first bands that I liked once I started opening up to other music other than Kiss. And I actually had thought about including Kiss in this video too, but I changed my mind at the last minute and went with these guys. This is Queen, A Day at the Races. I do like this album. I like some of their albums quite a bit. Others I'm not crazy about. And when I really analyzed it, I discovered there's like this short window of albums, like maybe 3 or 4 albums by them I like, and the rest I'm indifferent to, or I don't care for at all in some cases. But this band had a bit of a renaissance in the 2010s, I guess, if you might want to call it that. And they put out the movie, and then they exploded, and all these people loved them and everything. But to me, it went the other way. As soon as that started happening and people were saying they're the greatest of all time and this and that, it kind of had the negative rear ending on me, and I just didn't care for it anymore. Now, the albums I do like, this one, Night at the Opera and Day at the News of the World. I like those 3 albums, but I just never go back to them anymore, really. Even this one, which is probably arguably my favorite album by them. I rarely pull these and listen to them. In fact, when I'm thinking about what music I want to listen to, they don't come to mind anymore. And it could be a backlash from the 2010s thing, or it just could be that my taste in their music has changed and I just don't care for it anymore. I also went through that part where a lot of Queen fans of my age group anyways went through, when after News of the World, we were like fully on board with this band, and then Jazz came out, and there was still quite a lot of people listening to them. But then they started going off into some funky stuff and some kind of disco-y stuff and some other weird stuff, and I just stopped listening to them. And a lot of people who were in my group went through the same thing. And, maybe that hasn't had much of an impact as it once did, but it had a big impact at the time. And it's never really fully recovered for these guys because of that. But I can say one thing, they're a really strong band. They have a lot of good stuff. Maybe someday I'll come back to them, but I haven't at this point. And the only reason I decided to do this topic is because I did one about a year ago on bands that have made a full comeback. And there's about 5 or 6 of them. If you want to see the video, you can watch it. And some of them were a bit of surprise that they came back, but I genuinely wanted to listen to them again. And I thought some of these bands would fit into that, but they They haven't yet. And it's not saying they won't, but at this point in time, they haven't. So that's my 5 bands for today's topic. Queen, Whitesnake, Van Halen, Cheap Trick, and U2. So hopefully it won't be taken negatively. It's not meant as a negative. It's just, I think we sometimes go through this period of time where some bands just, we lose interest in them. Doesn't mean that they're any worse than they ever were, or that we hate them or anything. Well, other than you, I don't even hate U2. I just don't really like them anymore. But the other 4, I don't dislike any of them. I just never reach for them anymore. That's pretty much it. Anyways, hope you've enjoyed the video. Hope to see you all throughout the week. Please hit the like and subscribe. If you want to make any comments about what I've said, or if you want to give me other band, maybe you have bands that you wish that you would like them more and listen to them more again, but you just don't feel like it anymore. And when you put them on, you're not even really listening. If you want to put those bands in your comment section, you can do that as well. Anyways, take care. Have yourself a good day, good night, and goodbye.